Hi folks, today I'm going to discuss the hallucinated clause in the Constitution known as separation of church and state. Yeah, it's hallucinated, kids, because it is nowhere in the Constitution. And I bring this up because of this column that appeared in the Dallas Morning News. This gentleman is upset that his local city council held a meeting at a nearby church, and he claims separation of church and state was basically in violation when they did this. Let me explain to you this concept of separation of church and state. It is nowhere in the Constitution. The Constitution specifically states that government shall not respect the establishment of religion, nor prohibit the free exercise thereof. That part, nor prohibit the free exercise thereof, has been expunged from our public schools. The students are now only taught government should not respect the establishment of religion. This business with separation of church and state, which you will not find in the Constitution, came about in 1802 when Thomas Jefferson replied to a letter to a Baptist group in Connecticut where they were asking him to explain that part of the Constitution. He explained that there's a separation of church and state, meaning that the state should not inject itself into religion or sponsor a state religion, not that the state should eliminate religion from all public discourse and from the public square, because Thomas Jefferson and the rest of the founding fathers firmly believed that religion, when I say religion I mean belief in God, that a belief in God was necessary to proper governance and for the proper moral men to govern. Now, for the first 150 years or so of this nation, the Bible was the textbook in our public schools. How come there was no problem with that? How come the very men who wrote the Constitution, who wrote Congress shall not respect the establishment of religion, nor prohibit the free exercise thereof, when they attended public services, they attended church services, including Thomas Jefferson, in the Treasury Building, the Supreme Court Building, and the Capitol Building? So you're telling me these men who wrote the Constitution, when they were attending church services in those government buildings, they were violating the very Constitution that they wrote? Not going for that, kids. So he wrote that letter in 1802, and in 1815, look what else Thomas Jefferson wrote. Religion, as well as reason, confirms the soundness of those principles on which our government has been founded and its rights asserted. That's no problem, right, kids? In the 1930s, some judge found that letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote, where he wrote in separation of church and state. Well, he says, well, Thomas Jefferson wrote it, so it must be in the Constitution. That's the law of the land, basically. Really? In 1787, when the Constitution was being written in Philadelphia with the 55 delegates, where was Thomas Jefferson? Could you say France? He was the United States Foreign Minister to France. That's where he was when the Constitution was being written. Now, sure, he's a founding father, but he's not a foremost authority on the Constitution. President George Washington, first President of the United States, commander of the Continental Army, he had a deep belief in God. And listen, look what he wrote in reference to God and the government. It is impossible to rightly govern a nation without God and the Bible. He was at the convention, and he firmly believed that a belief in God was necessary to work for all moral men to participate in government. When the United States won its independence from the United Kingdom, the first law of the land was a document called the Articles of Confederation. Look what was written into that document. And whereas it hath pleased the great governor of the world to incline the hearts of the legislatures we respectively represent in Congress to approve of. Yeah! More talk about God, kids! It did not stop there. Prior to that was the Declaration of Independence. Look, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Now, did that look like the writings of atheists? Did that look like the writings of people who did not want a belief in God to be part of our government? And I'm going to still go back to the first part. The man who wrote Separation of Church and State was not at the Constitutional Convention. The people who were at the Constitutional Convention regularly attended services in government buildings, sent their children and their grandchildren off to public schools where the Bible was the textbook. So don't tell me separation of church and state. That's an hallucinated right that is nowhere in the Constitution and has no basis in historical fact in these here United States of America. Really? Alright, folks. We'll see you. God bless you. God bless America. And God bless the nation you happen to be in.
We are springing to the far for 300,000 more, shouting the battle cry of freedom, and we'll feel the